Here we have the daily price chart for NIO Incorporated, stock ticker NIO. As we can see here, we have started to see some upside price movement, and this is largely in line with the prior expectations from the prior video that I released on this stock. We are starting to see a bit of a move to the top side here, and the current highs have broken back above the $5 mark. This is significant because the market does tend to watch these types of psychological levels very closely. You can debate about whether or not that should be happening. I mean, you can very easily make the argument that $5 is just kind of a random number, really doesn't mean anything. Um, but when you start to watch these types of trades long enough, you start to realize that the market really does become fascinated with these round numbers: $5, $10, $100, $500, things like that. So these price levels do tend to have a bit more significance than they really should have. There's really no reason for the $5 level to be significant, but it would not be surprising to see, large numbers of buy and sell orders that are parked on both sides of that type of price level. So as we can see here, we did manage to break above this level. We have not yet closed above this the $5 mark on a daily time frame. And we would like to see that. I mean, that definitely would be preferable. But the positive here mostly is that we have closed above the 50-day exponential moving average. So that would be this orange line here. In the prior trading candle here, we can see that prices did manage to close above there. That's why the body of the candle itself, rises above the exponential moving average line. We also have this trading wick here, this price zone here. What this really means is that we reached prior highs in this area, but not a closing price above this area. So the highest closing price that we've seen does come in a bit lower. This is at roughly 487. We can get an exact number here. Yes, 47 would be the highest closing price that we've seen recently. So overall, what we would like to see here would be a daily close above the $5 mark. That could kind of shift the climate a bit, and kind of send a signal to the market that the stock is ready to form a base and start to move higher. From the prior comments and the prior videos, I can see that there are many people that have been long the stock for quite some time, and some of those positions are underwater currently. So there are a lot of people that really do need to see a turnaround in share price action here, and it can be quite discouraging. When you start to see declines like this. The moves have been fairly substantial to the top side. Um, but overall, I can bring that price arrow back in a moment. The reason I have that drawn there is because, generally what I'm trying to emphasize with this stock, and with the people that have held these positions for quite a while, is just the fact that, there really isn't much more room here to extend to the downside. It's kind of like if you jump out of a building and then you hit the ground, it's like you can't keep hitting the ground. There's no lower ground to keep hitting. So, you can't fall any further, in other words. So, share prices at this point have really, taken a dive here. Really, we can keep going back, and we can see, prices, well above $60 per share here, going back to, this would be the beginning of 2021. So, we're not talking about ancient history here. I mean, this is a relatively short time frame, um, and the share price is currently trading below $5 per share. So, the moves here to the downside have been massive, and it's just it gets to the point where, I mean, I understand that this gets discouraging, but you also don't want to be selling at the lows. I mean, that's one of the worst things you could do. It's a great way of maximizing losses, essentially. So you really don't want to do that. And what you really have to think about at this point is what is the risk to the downside and what is the risk to the top side. So currently the support zone that we're looking at currently comes in at the lows of 361, which were posted on April 22nd. Currently we're at 462, so we're roughly $1 away from long-term, very important long-term lows here. Um, that's not a lot of downside. I mean, it really isn't. And then if you compare that even to just kind of near term upside. I mean, we don't even have to go back very far on the chart to see that, the potential for upside is much, much larger. In most trades, what you're looking for is a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio. As that occurs, you're risking, $1 in downside for every $3 that you can get in potential upside. That's kind of the goal of what you're working toward as a trader. The case here, you're looking at $1 in potential downside, and even if we're being very conservative here, if we go back to the just the beginning of the beginning of this year, the end of last year, share prices were trading at 957. So you've got a doubling, and you're looking at a potential for 100% gain here. You know, if we just look at the share price activity this year, I mean this is not really not looking at very long term timeframes here. And then if we do go back a bit further, we can see August 2023, just a couple of months prior to that, we were trading at 1618. So, that's a quadrupling in share prices nearly, not quite, but we're getting close to a fourfold increase in share prices here. So, the potential for upside here does far outweigh the downside. And I do want to emphasize to people that are maybe thinking about exiting the trade. It's like, one of the worst things that you can do is sell your position at the lows. If you held this entire time, you have to wait here. You have to exercise some patience here and wait for a potential turnaround. You can dollar cost average. You can add to the position. If we do come back to lows, the main area that I would be watching here comes in at 360. But the recent price movements to the top side do look encouraging, because as we can see here, we do have the relative strength index breaking its downward momentum. This is the most recent downtrend in share price momentum, and it is breaking to the top side, as you can see. And then if we go out longer term, we can see that the indicator reading overall is bullish. I mean, and this is a trend that has not broken. So the relative strength index is this purple line, and then the yellow line is the moving average of the relative strength index. So as we can see here, this uptrend in momentum is still intact. The downtrend has broken. So what does that start to look like? It would be my question. If this downtrend in momentum is breaking, what does this start to look like? It starts to look like some fairly significant gains with very little to be seen in the way of downside. So this is the way that I try to view, trading, stock trading like this. When you're in these types of situations where a trade might be underwater for an extended period of time, you really do have to weigh the potential for downside with the potential for upside, because as far as that is concerned, the outlook for the stock is relatively clear. So here we have the current market analysis for NIO Incorporated, stock ticker NIO.